Vintage toy collecting. A passion that blends nostalgia, history, and let's be honest, a tiny bit of financial justification. Welcome to Nostalgia Nook Antiques, where history meets playtime, and where we celebrate the joy of collecting toys that made childhood magical. You know, the ones we used to stage epic battles in the sandbox with, or melt down the backside of the TV with. Yeah, those were the good old days. That's why we collect this stuff. Whether you're new to the game or already knee-deep in a sea of action figures, this video is for you. We're gonna get our hands dirty, digging through the world of vintage toys, talk about what to look for, how much to spend, and maybe, just maybe, unlock a few of those childhood memories along the way. Let's do it. Now, let's talk about collecting on a budget. Yes, you can get into vintage toy collecting without taking out a second mortgage. The trick? Start small, think smart, and don't let FOMO drain your wallet faster than a kid in a candy store. Forget about that Minton box Millennium Falcon you've been eyeing. Start with something attainable, something that speaks to your inner child. Remember those Matchbox cars you used to race across the kitchen floor, or that beat-up teddy bear missing an eye? Those are great places to start. Do your homework. Knowledge is power, especially in the world of vintage toys. Scour eBay, hit up flea markets, and talk to other collectors. Be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is a killer vintage toy collection. Flea markets, garage sales, dusty antique shops. These are your new hunting grounds. You never know what hidden gems you might uncover. Let's be real. Toy collecting isn't just about the objects themselves. It's about that feeling you get when you hold a rare Lego set from your childhood, or that elusive action figure you begged your parents for but never got. It's about the memories those toys evoke, the flood of emotions that come rushing back when you least expect it. Suddenly, you're not a grown-up with a mortgage and a commute. You're 8 years old again, sprawled out on the living room floor, lost in a world of imagination. And that, my friends, is the real magic of vintage toy collecting. It's about reconnecting with a simpler time, a time when the biggest decision you had to make was whether to be a Jedi Knight or a space pirate. So the next time you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or just plain old, pick up a vintage toy and let yourself get lost in the memories. Just try not to step on any Legos while you're at it. Now let's talk about the holy grails of vintage toy collecting. If you own any of these, pat yourself on the back or consider a high-security vault. First up, we've got the granddaddy of them all, the original G.I. Joe action figure from the 1960s. This bad boy, in mint condition and with all his accessories, can fetch upwards of 20 grand. Next on the list, we've got the holy grail of Hasbro, the Transformers Optimus Prime action figure from 1984. This transforming semi-truck, in pristine condition, can command a small fortune. We're talking 5 figures, easy. And let's not forget about the world of vintage Lego. A sealed Lego set from the 1970s or 80s, especially those iconic space themes, can fetch astronomical prices. We're talking thousands of dollars for a box of plastic bricks. Of course, these are just a few examples. The world of vintage toys is vast and ever-changing. The thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the connection to our past, that's what makes this hobby so addictive. Condition is everything. A toy in its original packaging? Jackpot. Loose but in good shape? still a win. Missing a head, limbs, and any resemblance to its original form? Well, that's called a fixer-upper. Seriously though, when you're out there hunting for vintage treasures, you gotta know what to look for. First things first, check for completeness. Are all the parts there? Is that vintage action figure missing a crucial accessory? Because let me tell you, finding a replacement lightsaber for your 1977 Luke Skywalker figure is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Next up, assess the condition. Is the paint faded? Are there any cracks, chips, or bite marks? Remember, the better the condition, the higher the value. But don't let a few imperfections scare you off. Sometimes, those battle scars just add to the character. And finally, don't be afraid to ask questions. Talk to the seller, do your research, and trust your gut. Is vintage toy collecting a legitimate investment? Short answer, yes. Long answer, it depends on rarity, condition, and market trends. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Not every vintage toy is gonna turn you into a millionaire. But then again, neither is the stock market. The key is to do your research. Just like any investment, you gotta know what you're buying, what it's worth, and what the potential for growth is. But here's the thing about vintage toys. They're not making any more of them. And as time goes on, the supply of these toys dwindles, while the demand continues to grow. So yeah, vintage toy collecting can be a viable investment. Collectors are chasing after vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures and first edition Pokemon cards. Early 2000s video game memorabilia is also in demand. Remember those heroes in a half shell? They're back and more popular than ever. Vintage TMNT figures from the 1980s are fetching top dollar. Pokemon cards, especially first edition Charizard, are like gold dust. Don't underestimate the value of old consoles and cartridges. The world of vintage toy collecting is constantly evolving. With nostalgia-driven demand soaring, the next generation of collectibles might be today's childhood favorites. Think about it. Are we looking at Minecraft toys and Fortnite figures becoming the next big thing in 20 years? Look, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball. But one thing's for sure. The future of vintage toy collecting is looking bright. Today's kids are tomorrow's collectors. And what are they into? Minecraft, Fortnite, Roblox. The digital world is their playground. So, it stands to reason that the toys, games, and collectibles from these digital realms are going to be highly sought after in the years to come. But it's not just about digital toys. We're also seeing a resurgence of interest in classic toys with a modern twist. The point is, the world of vintage toy collecting is always evolving. What's old is new again, and what's new is just waiting to be discovered. So, is vintage toy collecting worth it? Absolutely. Whether you're in it for nostalgia, investment, or just the sheer fun of the hunt, it's a passion worth pursuing. Look, we've covered a lot of ground today, but at the end of the day, vintage toy collecting is about one thing: passion. So, what are you waiting for? Dust off that attic, hit up those garage sales, and start building your dream collection today. You never know what treasures you might find. And remember, it's not about the money. It's about the memories, the connections, and the sheer joy of owning a piece of the past. And if you're looking to jumpstart your collection, check out our selection at nostalgianookantiques.com, where history meets nostalgia. Now let's chat in the comments. What's your most prized vintage toy? And don't forget to subscribe for more nostalgia-fueled fun. See you in the next video.